Hey Hatchlings, it's DragonFeather and welcome back to day 5 of our 31 days of Samhain. And for today, we're going to discuss release rituals. Now, this is something that I haven't really talked about on the channel before and is something that I've only briefly discussed in the Hatchling Clan, but it's something that I think is really relevant to the season of autumn and to the time of Samhain, and even for Samhain if that's something that you choose to do. For each person, release rituals are going to be different depending on who you are, and I am still pretty new to the practice, but whenever I have done release rituals, they have been very, very necessary and very powerful and a great form for me to naturally let go of things that I may be holding on to or bottling up inside of myself. But for this video, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about release rituals and my experience with them instead of performing one for you guys, because it is a rather private practice in my opinion, and I think it's something that you can do with others if you're comfortable, but if you're not, it's totally okay to do by yourself. So I am sitting in front of a bunch of candles right now because when I do release rituals, I like to be in complete darkness with nothing but natural lighting from candle flames. So that's why I am filming this video in front of candles, and I hope that the lighting isn't too bad. I tried to get as many as I can. What is a release ritual? A release ritual is a ritual that you create or manifest or follow that enables you to release bottled up emotions and thoughts and traumas and whatever has been holding you back or kind of draining on you internally. And one of the most powerful forms of releasing, and what I do in my personal practice, is crying during these rituals. Crying is a very powerful tool to release emotion. That is what it is there for. And when we are sad, when we are angry, when we are frustrated, or when we've been heartbroken or whatever it may be, crying is usually one of the most powerful ways to let it go. And I know that for many of us, especially if we are males, or if we were raised as boys, then we have been told not to cry. We have been told to suppress that part of ourselves, and it's not manly to cry, and blah blah blah. And even some girls, and even myself, our crying has been suppressed as it's a form of manipulation or whatever. And so there may be many negative connotations to crying, and this may in itself be a reason why you struggle with releasing and letting go. And the reason why this is so important to do periodically is because if you don't release on a regular basis, it will build up, it will create tension, and it will cause stress within yourself. And this has been true along my journey. So for when I do release rituals, it's most common for me to do them during my moon or my menstrual cycle when I am bleeding as a woman. Now, not everybody has these because not everybody is born with a uterus, but that's completely okay. You don't need to have a period to do a release ritual. However, if you do, that may be a good time for you to try this. If not, no problem. But that's what works best for me and what I prefer to do because it's very cyclical and it's something that I can plan on, and it's something that is easier for me to release during that time because I feel like my body is already releasing in its own way. So as a female, that works for me. Release rituals don't have to have structure. They don't have to have this elaborate, like, written out plan for you to do. It's not that serious. But it can be if you want it to be. Sometimes the best release rituals are where I just sit in darkness and call upon my guardians and have a good cry and just talk to them about all the things that I need to let go of and listen for their guidance. And this usually works best for me personally. But when it comes to stuff like wanting to perform a ritual, you can go as crazy and as outright and as elaborate as you would like to. It's about creating a comfortable environment for you to put yourself in this state where you can cry or where you can get close to. You don't have to cry during a release ritual, but I highly recommend it because it's a powerful tool that we can use as humans, crying is, in order for us to let go, in order for us to release it. We can imbue our tears with all that holds us back or hurts us inside, and as it spills from our eyes, it spills from our body and no longer is a part of us. So that can be really, really important symbolism for those of you who may have some harder, deep-rooted things that you need to get out. Sometimes, you guys, as humans, we just need to cry, and that is okay. It's absolutely 110% okay to cry. And whoever tells you otherwise needs to cry, needs to have a good cry for themselves. Crying does not show weakness, it does not show lack of strength, it does not make you less of a man or a crazy woman, it doesn't make you a bitch, it doesn't make you over emotional, it just makes you human. And I want to try and spread some awareness and kind of encourage people to realize that it's okay and normal for people to cry, and sometimes it's good for us to do this periodically on a cyclical basis to help us maintain balance within ourselves, because when we do not release what we need to, we fall out of balance. And that's what this whole entire release ritual is for you to get more in touch with yourself, with your emotions, and move forward towards balance. And I think balance is really, really important, especially as we go and move forward into the darker months, because as we move into the darker times, if we're unbalanced, sometimes it's hard for us to get that balance as we go through darkness. And I know I myself has struggled with that. Last year I had a really hard time maintaining balance, and that's kind of when I learned how to do the release rituals and haven't really had a name for it until recently. I just kind of wanted to touch on it a bit because it's a really good autumn themed activity to do. I think it's really good for autumn and winter. Autumn especially because the trees are letting their leaves go, and that is kind of, in a sense, their own release ritual. Like their leaves falling once every autumn is like their natural form of release. And so when we tap into those energies of the trees shedding their leaves, we can also tap into ourselves and let us shed what no longer serves us. And I think that's something that we should think about a little bit, and something that we should open a discussion for, and something that we shouldn't be ashamed to talk about. And it doesn't matter what gender you are, if you don't even identify as a gender, or whatever freaking genitals you were born with, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, you can cry, it is okay to cry, it is important to cry, and it is healthy to cry. You know, too much of anything isn't really healthy, but not enough of something is unhealthy as well. So it's all about maintaining that balance. And when we cry and when we let out all of that in the form of crying, we're releasing energy. And sometimes this release of energy can be very, very profound for us in our life experiences, especially if it's maybe been years since you've even cried. I do know some people who have not cried in like 5+ years, and it's like, bro, sit the fuck down, watch The Notebook, and cry already. Like, it's important to do this, and it's important to allow yourself and give yourself permission and let yourself be vulnerable enough to release this and to let yourself cry. And so that's why this release ritual is really important, especially during the time of autumn, and why I wanted to cover it in our 31 days of Samhain, because as we move forward, especially if we've had loved ones that we've lost, especially if we've had traumatic events happen, or if we've struggled in our relationships or just life journey in general, it's important for us to take the time to acknowledge what has happened and to allow ourselves to forgive ourselves and to forgive those involved and to let it go. And as we move closer and closer to Samhain, our videos are going to get a little bit darker on the channel, and I love the darkness and I am not shy about it, and I know a lot of people really enjoy the darker themes of Magick and the darker, more mysterious parts of the craft, and I think that this is the perfect time to do so, especially because it's such a spoopy holiday. And if you guys are interested in a more in-depth explanation about a release ritual and for a little example of a release ritual for yourself, please check out the post that I made in the Hatchling Clan that will cover all of this and a little bit more of what I talked about in this video, more in-depth and more detailed. And so you can join us in our festive of 31 days of Samhain and to be a part of our little magical family over there. It's a lot of fun, and everybody is getting so into the festivities of autumn and Samhain, and it's just so much fun to share this with you guys. And so if you have not joined already, I highly recommend you do so, because it's a very warm and accepting place, and it's a great place to start your journey if you do not know where to start. So I hope that this video helped you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But until next time, stay geeky, cheeky, and free. and freaky little hatchlings. Blessed be and bye.
And it's funny that you think that I'm different when we're both made